All right, let's just jump right into it. You know that little thing you do online probably a dozen times a day that you never really think about? Well, we're going to pull back the curtain on it because that tiny, almost annoying little interaction, it actually holds this massive story about who and what is on the other side of your screen.
I mean, this has got to look familiar, right? You've seen this probably thousands of times. You click a box, maybe you find all the pictures with a fire hydrant, and then you just move on. But have you ever really stopped to wonder, why? Why is the internet so obsessed with asking you if you're human?
Well, it turns out that little prompt isn't just a speed bump. It's a gate. It's the front line of this constant, invisible war happening all across the web. And guess what? We're all a part of it, whether we know it or not.
I mean, really think about it for a second. This phrase goes beyond language, beyond culture. Doesn't matter if you're logging into your email, buying a concert ticket, or just trying to post a comment, you are constantly being asked to prove your own humanity. It's one of the few truly shared experiences for billions of us online.
So what is this invisible war I'm talking about? Well, it's a constant battle between real users, that's you and me, and automated programs, or bots. And we need these tests because the internet is absolutely flooded with bots, and a lot of them are not friendly. We need a sort of digital doorman, checking IDs at the door.
And this is where it gets really clear. It's all about what each side wants. On one side, you've got us, people. We're here to browse, to connect, to maybe buy something. Our intentions are usually pretty focused. But then, you have the bots. They're designed for mass, automated action. Things like scraping up valuable data, flooding websites with spam, or trying to disrupt entire services.
And the damage they cause is very, very real. We're talking about millions of fake social media accounts built just to spread misinformation. We're talking about bot armies that can literally crash a website by overwhelming it with traffic. And yeah, they're also crawling the web 24/7, trying to scrape your personal information from wherever they can get it. The stakes here are surprisingly high.
So, all of this brings us to the really genius part of the whole thing, the solution. How in the world do you stop a sophisticated computer program? Well, it turns out you give it a test that is laughably simple for a person, but incredibly difficult for a machine.
And here's the secret sauce. These tests, which are often called CAPTCHAs, they totally exploit the gap between how our brains work and how computers think. Our brains are just incredible pattern recognition machines. We can see context and nuance and understand messy, distorted information in a way that computer code, historically, just can't.
The whole process is really pretty brilliant. A website throws a unique challenge at you. Maybe it's picking out all the bicycles in a grid of photos. Your brain just gets it, instantly. A bot, on the other hand, just sees a confusing jumble of pixels. So you pass the test, the bot fails, and that digital gate just swings right open for you.
But here's where the story gets a lot more dramatic. This isn't a static problem where you find one solution and you're done. No, this is a full-blown technological arms race. Because as artificial intelligence gets smarter, the bots get smarter. And that means the tests have to keep evolving just to stay one step ahead.
And you've actually lived through this whole evolution. Remember those crazy wavy words from the early 2000s that you could barely even read yourself? That was generation 1. But then the bots learned to read them. So we switched to identifying photos. Click on all the storefronts. Then AI got great at that too. So we moved to that simple "I'm not a robot" checkbox. The genius there wasn't the click itself, but the system analyzing the way you moved your mouse, the subtle curves and hesitations that are uniquely human. And now, a lot of these tests are happening completely invisibly, just analyzing your browsing patterns in the background.
And this cycle just keeps repeating itself, over and over again. It starts here. A team of brilliant engineers designs a brand new human test, one they think is totally bot-proof. But it never takes long. The people making the bots get to work, they use machine learning, they feed their AI massive amounts of data, and pretty soon they've trained their bots to defeat the new test. They've cracked it.
And that, of course, forces our side to go right back to the drawing board. Now the pressure is on to create a test that's even more complex, even more nuanced, one that relies even more on what makes us uniquely human. And then the cycle starts all over again.
So, this relentless cycle brings us to the edge of a really fascinating and, frankly, kind of unsettling future. We've always designed these tests based on what machines can't do. But what happens when that list of things gets shorter and shorter and shorter? What happens when the line between human and machine intelligence just starts to blur?
I mean, what happens when a bot can pass our human verification tests with 99.8% accuracy, or 99.9%? At a certain point, the difference becomes statistically meaningless, right? At what point does our digital doorman just become useless because it can't tell the difference between a real person and a perfect imposter anymore?
And that leaves us with this final massive question. That simple prompt, verify you are human, it was always built on the assumption that we could. But if an AI can write like us, create art like us, and reason like us, if it can pass every single test we put in front of it, then how do we even define our own humanity in this digital world we've all built? What does that little checkbox really mean then?